Alright, so welcome to our new course, The Secrets of Understanding Pentecostal and Gospel Style Piano. And I'm really excited about this course. I have noticed very recently a lot of musicians that know their major chords, they know their minor chords, they know their sevenths, they even know, and use suspended two chords. But a couple of common things that I've seen with a lot of these musicians is number one, a lot of them don't know all of their chords. What I mean by that is they know most of the majors and minors, and sevenths, but some of them they really have to think about. Another thing I've noticed is they're playing a lot off of the chord sheet without understanding at all what they're playing, not even thinking about what key they're in, and this is really hindering them from really being able to put fills and runs in their playing and different things like that. Now, the reason that it's so important to know this kind of thing and understand where you are in the song, what you're playing, what the role and function of that chord is in relation to the key that you're in. I know that sounds like a lot of jargon, but I promise it's really, really simple stuff. The reason it's so important is, let's say, for instance, you're playing a song in the key of C and you come across a D minor chord. Okay, now you may not know what the Roman numeral system is, but we're going to explain that to you and introduce you to that in this first lesson here in just a minute. But the D minor chord in the key of C functions as the second note or the 2 chord of the scale. Let's say that we come across a D minor and we're in the key of B flat, for instance. That D minor functions totally differently which is the 3 chord in the key of B flat. It functions completely differently in that song in the key of B flat or in any song than it would in the key of C. And what's going to happen is it's going to totally change what kind of fills and runs you can do with this D minor, what passing chords you're supposed to use. For instance, the key of C, your passing chord would be, a C over D. You might do something like this. You might be tempted to use some fills and runs that go well with that D minor in the key of C, it functioning as the 2 chord. However, if you're in the key of B flat, all of a sudden the notes that you can use as filler notes, the passing chords that you can use, become completely different. We start recognizing things called diatonic notes, notes that are found naturally in that key that you're playing in. So you're in the key of C, you're playing that D minor chord, okay? Your filler notes that you can use, and just for sake of being short here for brevity, we're just going to go over the notes of D minor 7. Now, as we progress into the deeper lessons, I'm not going to go over these and every single note. This course is more for people that already know their sevenths, that already know their major and minor chords fairly well, or at least can figure them out easily. We're not really going to go over a view of how to make these chords until about lesson 7 of this course. Okay, so you have the D minor 7 in the key of C, D, F, A, C. You probably saw me playing it as C, F, A, basically an F over D. Your notes that go in between are the notes that you can use as fill-in notes, and that helps you with your fills and runs. Okay, so I call these diatonic notes, or notes that you can basically just filler notes. I guess maybe a better way to refer to them for ease of remembering. So between D and F, you have an E note in the key of C, right? Because C major scale goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so you have an E in between the D and the F. So if you're going to do a little fill there, you can do like that. Okay? If you're playing in the key of B flat, there's no E note in the key of B flat. So if you're going to do a little filler note, you would have to use an E flat, because the notes in the key of B flat scale are B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. So you couldn't play an E there because it's going to sound really off in the key of B flat. But you could do that E flat there. Okay, that's why it's so important for you to know and to understand what you're playing, what key you're in, what role the chord functions in the song as, what number it is. Think about it as like family members. You're in the key of C, you've got family members, each chord is given a number, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, but each chord plays a role, just like a family has different members that play a role within it. You've got the mom, you've got the dad, you got the grandma, the grandpa, the aunts, the uncles, cousins. They're all playing different roles in that family. Or maybe you can think about it as a single person. They're one person, but they have many different roles that they play in their lives. They're a dad, they're a son, they're a brother, whatever. So that's the way the chords work too. Each one of these in the key of C, the C chord, the D minor chord, the E minor chord, which is the 3, the F, which is the 4, the G, which is the 5, A minor, which is the 6. All of these play different roles in this song. And while there is a certain role that they almost always will normally play, there may be variations as well that they can also be used and changed as. They can be looked at in different ways, in other words. All right, hope this is making sense. So we're going to introduce you in this course. There's going to be several main things that we want to do. First of all, we want to solidify your chords that you already know, major, minor chords, sevenths, suspended twos. When I say sevenths, I mean major sevenths, dominant sevenths, and minor sevenths, the big 3 that you need to know to play Pentecostal and gospel style music. We're going to go over a review of those and how to make sure that you know all of those when we start really getting into the chords about lessons in lesson 7. Lessons 7 through 12 we're really going to investigate, and of course we're going to review these basic chords that I'm mentioning here, but we're also going to be going over advanced chords and chords that are more full. This is not a course particularly about teaching you your basic chords. If that's something you want to learn, we have a beginner course, AP 101, a crash course in piano. I would highly recommend that you look into taking that course on our website. Okay, so the other thing we want to teach you is we want to introduce you to the musical Roman numeral system, which will basically give you the understanding. It's a very simple system that we're going to teach you here in just a minute. Give you the understanding about how each chord functions in a song and in a key, because without learning that, it's impossible for you to know what fills and runs to do. So many people want to get the cart in front of the horse. You can't learn the fills and runs without understanding how music works and how each chord functions within its role in a key. Okay, so now that we've gone over all of that, let's introduce you to the Roman numeral system. That's what this is all going to be about. We're not just going to teach you the numbers, but we're going to teach you how to recognize movements as well, progressions. We're going to teach you, like when it goes from 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and different ways that it can go from 1 to 4, 1 to 5, how to understand and how to hear and begin to recognize what movement this is, and be able to follow other people as they play, and even be able to listen to CDs and take songs off of a CD and learn it just like that. Okay? I've been able to do that without saying this, without just trying to give myself glory, whatever. I've been able to do this since I was young, 16, 17. I've been able to listen to a CD and just be able to get the chords off of it. Now, people ask me, is this something you were born with? No, I don't have perfect pitch. You can play a note and I will have no idea what note it is any more than the next guy on the street. If you play that note on the piano, a C note, and I can't see the piano, I have no idea that's a C note. It could be an A, a B flat. I have no idea. But if you play a chord, I can recognize that chord. We're going to go into that too. I can tell you that's a C7. If you played, I can tell you that's a minor 7. I couldn't tell you, just to clarify, what note it is. Like I couldn't say, okay, that's C7 and that's F7, but I could say that's a 7 chord, or I could say that's a sharp 5 7 chord, or I could say that's a fully diminished 7th. So you can teach yourself to recognize the chords. That's not something that I was taught with, but I'm going to teach you the secret to actually learning to recognize each individual chord and be able to just hear it and tell what kind of chord it is, even though you may not know the exact name of the chord. Okay, so now that we've gone over that, we're also let's just jump into the Roman numeral system here. So we've got the way that it works. The Roman numeral system is we take the scale. When I say scale or I say key, I use those terms interchangeably. So when we're in the key of C, we'll start with that because that's the easiest. We're using the C major scale. The notes in the C major scale are just C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, one more time. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And you can memorize each major scale, or you can use the pattern, which is going to be whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay, a whole step goes up. You skip one note. A half step is just the next note right next to it. E to F is a half step. F to F sharp is a half step. F sharp to G is a half step. C to D is a whole step, though, because you're skipping the C sharp. Okay, D to E is a whole step because you're skipping the E flat. You can think about it like this: 2 half steps make a whole step. But you can also reference the cheat sheet we have for download in your lesson as well. But the way that it'll work is that start on the name of the note if you want to figure out a major scale without having to reference something, and you'll probably just want to memorize each one of these. Probably just start each one and play each one off the cheat sheet using the fingering provided. But start on the name of the scale, go up a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, a half step. I really don't think about whole step, half steps. That's a good way to get it initially, but you really need to have each scale memorized completely. And the Roman numeral system is going to really make it easy for you to do that because you're going to get intimately familiar with each one of these keys and scales. Okay, so the Roman numeral system, we're finally going to get into it here after 10 minutes. We give a number to each note in the major scale. Okay, so we're in the key of C right now. We're going to start off with that. So C is going to be our one chord, our number one chord. All right, because this is the first note of the scale, right? Easy enough. D is going to be our 2 chord. E is our 3 chord. F is our 4 chord. G is our 5 chord. A is our 6 chord. And B is our 7 chord. And then we're back to our 1. Okay, so very simple. Now, couple things you want to note is your 1 chord, your 4 chord, and your 5 chord are your 3 main chords no matter what key you're in. Okay, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord. And what's important about those 3 is that they're usually major chords when you're playing a song, okay? So that's how they're found naturally if you just play the scale up like this, 3 notes at a time. They're found as major notes, major chords. Okay, so you have C, which is your 1 chord, major chord. F, which is your 4 chord, major chord. G, which is your 5 chord, major chord. No matter which scale you play, C, D flat, C all the way to C, anything between, your 1, 4, and 5 are always major chords. Okay? Naturally found in the scale. Remember the roles. They can function as in different ways, though, even though they're separate members and they have a number, and they're supposed to be something particular. So your 1, 4, and 5 are major chords. However, your 2, your 3, and your 6 are going to be minor chords. Okay. So your 2 chord, whenever you come to a D in the key of C, usually it's played as a D minor. Not always, but most of the time. So you have D minor, E minor, and A minor are the 3 minor chords found naturally in the key of C. Okay, D minor, E minor, A minor. Okay, so pretty simple so far. A lot of you guys may be even saying, I already know this stuff. Okay, this is a good review for you. We're really going to get into some really deep and intense stuff here in the next couple of lessons, but we've got to make sure we have a good foundation first. Your 7 chord is the only one we didn't cover here, and it's played as a diminished chord, okay? A diminished chord is just like a minor chord. Here's B minor, B, D, F sharp, but you flatted the 5th also, okay? So B, D, F, B diminished is going to be that chord. All right, so those are just basic chords that we play. Most songs that you hear, those are your basic chords that are played. If you play a lot of Spanish music, if you play a lot of contemporary worship music, CCM, if you play a lot of the modern stuff, they don't really get outside of these 6 chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's pretty much what you're going to hear and what you're going to be singing. Now, you want to make sure that you understand, though, what key you're playing in, and what scale you should be using, because that's going to help you when you're playing these chords. You might be saying, well, Richard, how is that so? Okay, let's say, for instance, we're in the key of C. If we go from C to E, there's only 1 note in between. So let's say we want to try to figure out a fill or a run we can do using this on the C major chord. Okay, many of you may know you can substitute a suspended 2 there. But between C and E, in the major scale, there's a D note. So if you want to do a little fill, okay, you just did a little fill. That's what a fill is. You're basically just playing notes between the notes of the chord. Okay, that's one way to play a fill. You could also look at E and G. There's only 1 note in the C major scale between these 2 notes, and that's F. So you can play a little fill there. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Very simple stuff here, right? Now it gets a little more complicated when you come between the G and the C. Okay, depending on the song, you're gonna have to kind of play it by ear. What do you like better? Most of the time, it's better to play the G A C. G A C, the 5 6 1. Although if you play the B, you can also do the B sometimes. gives a real worshipful kind of, I don't know, just a real pretty sound. Okay, and you can also do these fills going down. Okay, so that's how you use the notes of the major scale, and that's why it's important to know what key you're in so you can understand and not hit a wrong note. You know, if I didn't know any better, I could be playing the key of C, and I could hit an F sharp there going to G, and it's going to sound really funny. Okay, now, but say for instance I'm in a different key. Say I'm in, you know, the key of G, which has an F sharp in it. That's what I'm supposed to play when I'm playing a C chord in the key of G, is the F sharp. So you have to know what key you're in and how it functions and how the chords function and what the notes of the major scale are. You should never play a song and you don't know the notes of that major scale. Take 2 seconds and figure it out. If not with the formula I gave you, if you can't remember that, just figure it out by ear. Oops. Okay, A major scale. No. No. You see what I'm saying? You can eventually just figure it out by ear. You know what the C major scale sounds like? Just all white notes, okay? So now you've got the A major scale down, and you can just remember, okay, it's all white notes except I've got a C sharp instead of a C, F sharp instead of F, and G sharp instead of G. Now when I'm playing, I'm not going to hit any embarrassing notes and sound bad. Okay, so that's just on the key. That's just on the C major chord. Let's go. That's the 1 chord. Let's go to the 2 chord, the D minor. The same concept works. Okay, your notes between D and E are D, E, F. So you know you can use that as a fill. Your notes between F and A is just a G, so it's F, G, A. You can already hear it sounding really cool. Now it gets a little more complicated, but kind of, not sort of, when you go from the A to the D. Most of you already know that you can change any minor chord pretty much into a minor 7. So there's your filler note. A, C, D. A, C, D. Okay? Between the A and the D. So you have a lot of options now. Once again, these are called filler notes, or diatonic notes is the proper jazz term. Let's go to E minor. Look at our filler notes here, okay? You have between the E and the G, you have an F. Sounds a little weird, but not too bad. Between the G and the B, you have an A. That's an easy one. And then, of course, we know we can make a minor chord into a minor 7. So B, D, E could be your notes there. You kind of just got to go by ear, but you can kind of just use a little bit of, you know, that theory that you already know and start making this work for you to happen. All right, same thing for F. You're probably getting it by now, but between the F and the A, there's a G. Okay, between the A and the C, there's a B. Okay, and then of course, you know on the 4 chord that you can substitute a major 7th. If you didn't know that, now you know. And of course, we'll be going over this as a review pretty soon as well, lesson 7. So you can use C, E, F. But you can also use C, D, F. You'll hear that doesn't sound bad. Once again, that major 7th sound gives a real worshipful sound when you use it on the 1 and the 4 chord. And of course, you know we can only use major 7ths on the 1 and the 4 chord in a song. You can never use them on the 2, 3, 5, 6, or 7. All right, and let's go over the G. Same thing here. You can use the A as a filler note between G and B. You can use the C as a filler note between B and D. And then, of course, you can use either the D, E, G or D, F, G, depending on the sound you want. Okay, let's go to A minor. And you can make that an A minor 7, of course. But you have A, B, C. That's B fills in the notes between A and C. And you have D, which goes between C and E. So now you know you can make it a 7th as well. So you can hear if you play the F, it has kind of a weird sound. You probably don't want to use that a whole lot, but you might like it. All right, you have the B diminished. Same thing here, just use your filler notes. We'll learn later you can make a B diminished into a B diminished seventh. But for now, that should get you going. Alright, so that's how you use them. It's Roman numerals. It's really simple. You know, let's take it and do it in one more key. Let's do it in the key of B flat. Okay, your B flat notes, it's all white notes, but you've got a B flat instead of a B and an E flat instead of an E. Okay, so fingering is 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so you have B flat. B flat's your main chord, your one chord. Okay, so B flat's the 1, C's the 2, D's the 3, E flat's the 4, F's the 5, G's the 6, A's the 7. B flat's back to 1. So B flat, 1, 4, and 5 are going to be your major chords, and then 2, 3, and 6 are going to be your minor chords, and of course your 7 is going to be your diminished as always. Alright, so you have B flat major chord, your filler notes right here. Between B flat and D is going to be a C because that's the natural note found in the major scale. Between D and F is going to be E flat. That's the natural notes found in the major scale, and here you have two options, either F, G, B flat, or F, A, B flat, whichever sign you want to use. Now C minor, which is your 2 chord, you come here, that's going to be your filler note, that's going to be your filler note, and then, okay? D minor. Alright, now here we get a chance to see that in action. In the key of C, we did D, E, F. That will not work in the key of B flat because there's no E. There is an E flat, however, so. Okay, E flat. Okay, F. Once again, we get to see this great example here again as well. You have F to A. The G note fills that in, which is found in the key of B flat naturally. But you can't do the B to C like you could in the key of C. It's got to be because there's no B in the key of B flat. You've got to do A, B flat, C. So you can't play filler notes outside of the major scale. That's what I'm trying to get through with this little lesson here. You can't play those extra notes yet. Okay, now there's stuff you can get away with. We're going to get into that. But for now, just this basic tip, you cannot go outside the major scale for your fills and runs. Okay? So you play an A, B flat, C, and then you can, of course, you can go C, D, F, or C, E flat, F, depending on what you're going to do. You've also got G minor, so G, A, B flat, your filler notes there, B flat, C, D, and then D, F, G will be your filler notes there. And of course, we won't get into the diminished quite yet, but just stay in the major scale and you're good to go. Stay in the notes in the B flat major scale. Whatever key you're in, stay inside the notes of that scale. That is so vital. If you can learn that, you've learned almost everything, just about. Okay, so that's the basics. That's how diatonic or filler notes work. Very important concept. That's how the Roman numeral musical system works. Now, what's cool about it is, say you learn a song in the key of C. And the song goes 1, 4, 5, 4, and then back to 1. No matter what key you play that song, and say you had a singer that, say that was Amazing Grace, and the singer wanted to sing it in A flat, and you've only ever played it in C. Well, they can't sing it in C because that's not their range, okay? You've got a big problem here. And let's just imagine that your modulation button on your keyboard is broken because you shouldn't be using the modulation button anyways. That's a bad idea. Stay away from modulation buttons. Good musician's worst enemy. So you have to transpose this song on the fly into the key of A flat. That should be no problem for you. A good musician can play equally in every single key. Okay, so that song went 1, 4, 5, 4, and then back to the 1. Now, because you know your Roman numeral system in every single key, at least you're going to after you finish this course, you know that you can go. The numbers will still say the same: 1, 4, 5, 4, 1. Because even though the notes in a song change when you change the key, the numbers stay the same. Okay, so the numbers are the pattern that you want to memorize when you memorize a song. You don't just want to memorize the notes. You don't just want to say, okay, this song goes C, F, G, F. But you want to memorize that the song goes 1, 4, 5, 4. Because now you're thinking, okay, 1, 4, 5, I know that I can substitute on the 4 this chord and I know that I can substitute this fill and these little filler notes here because I just learned them with Apostolic praise. So you get what I'm saying. This system works. This is how I've learned. This is how most good musicians learn jazz. If you take advanced jazz classes, they are going to teach you this. Now we're also going to go into the extra chords that are outside the scales. The sharp 1, the flatted 3, the sharp 4, the sharp 5, the flatted 7. So we're going to go into all that stuff. But time doesn't permit us, unfortunately, to keep going too much longer. I'm going to try to give it another 5 minutes. I know this video has been almost half an hour long now. So if you're still with us, God bless you. A few more things I do want to tell you we're going to be learning as well. We're going to be learning about how to go from the 1 to the 4 and how to go from the 1 to the 5. Now you're saying, are you crazy? I already know how to do that. 1 to 4, 1 to 5. I mean, that's easy. You're just doing C, F, C, G, and you're just making it sound fancy because you're saying Roman numerals. Well, yes, but no at the same time. We're not just trying to sound smart by using the Roman numerals here, but you have to start learning to get away from the chord sheets and recognize these movements by ear. You know, for me, it kind of started, we moved down and went to a large black congregation in Tampa, Florida, when I was a teenager, and they got me up there on playing the bass, and I had a little bit of experience. I'd been playing in our Spanish services in my old church, and you know, it was a total culture change. This was music that I was not familiar with, this kind of style, black gospel, and I'm the only white guy on the platform, and I'm playing the bass, and you know that you better be a good bass player to play in a black church because they love some good bass. And I eventually got better, but the point of this story is I had to start learning to play by ear. I was so used to just reading the chord sheet, to just watching the piano player's left hand, watching the organist's foot, and seeing what note to play, and then copying that. And I didn't really have an understanding of what I was playing, and as a result, I couldn't do fills and runs. And one day, the organist said, "Look, you know what you need to do is you've been playing the bass long enough. You should know most of these songs. If we play a song you don't know, you should learn it the first or maybe the second time through. At the worst, the third time, but you should have it memorized, and you should just be able to play without having to watch." And he made me back up to the place where I could not see what notes they were playing, and I had to just figure it out by ear. Now, maybe that seems like kind of an extreme example to you, but you go to a black gospel concert, you go to a southern gospel concert, 99% of the time, they do not have chord sheets up there. 99% of the time, those musicians are together, they're tight, they are playing, and they're not messing up, and they're not using chord sheets. And you're saying, well, how is this possible? Oh, they've just got it memorized, they've played these songs so many times. No, the thing is they have the sound in their head. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have the greatest memory in the world. But I can hear the chord changes in my head, and I've learned and I've trained my ear to recognize the chord changes. And anybody can do it. If you can listen and you can hear the first few notes of your favorite song and you can recognize it right off the bat, then you can learn to play by ear. If you can learn to recognize any strain of music and just recognize it within hearing the first few notes, you can play by ear and you can teach yourself chord movements and chord progressions and how to recognize them. It's really not hard. It's just a matter of taking a little bit of an extra step. And don't we all agree that God deserves our best? That God deserves the extra step in worship and praise? I'm not going to preach to you, but it's true. All right, so we're going to teach you in this next lesson. We're going to start getting into here we knocked out the basics, but in this next lesson we're going to get into starting to recognize and hear the difference between going from the 1 to the 4 and the 1 to the 5, and the many different ways that we can go from the 1 to the 4 and 1 to the 5, and the secrets to recognizing which one it is. There really are secrets and tricks and tips that you can use that most piano teachers will not teach you, especially those that teach secular style music, that you can teach yourself to recognize the movements when it's going from the 1 to the 4 and the 1 to the 5. I'm so excited that you've joined us for this course. This is literally going to change your life. I'm super excited and pumped about this course, and I cannot wait to start hearing some good results. This is just the first lesson. The first lesson is usually the longest because you got to introduce and blah blah blah. But this first lesson is half an hour, and if you got through it, awesome, good for you. Just get ready, hang on, because we're going to get into some really neat stuff. We're going to start getting into teaching you how to play by ear, teaching you how to recognize chord movements, chord progressions, and how to understand where you're at in the song, what chord you're playing, and what you can do on that chord to make it sound better with fills, with runs, with substitution chords, with passing chords. It's going to be a whole array of stuff where we're not just starting from the basic. We're actually starting, you've got a little bit of foundation, majors, minors, sevenths, suspended two chords, and now you're actually going to have someone that can teach you how to go to that next level you've been wanting to go to. So super excited for you. Feel free to email me, call me with any questions, and we will see you back here for your next lesson. God bless.